Section 3.1, Algebraic Expressions. Today we're going to be talking about how to identify terms, coefficients, variables, and constants in an expression, and also write and evaluate expressions. Yesterday we were introduced to these key vocabulary words. Today we're going to take notes on them and then get a little bit of practice. So what do we remember about terms? Okay, terms are part of an algebraic expression, either a single number or variable or numbers and variables multiplied together could make up a term. Okay, terms are separated by addition or subtraction. Okay, coefficients. Okay, the coefficient, remember yesterday we talked about the coefficient tells us how many of a variable we have. So a coefficient says when a number and a letter are together, this indicates multiplication, and the number is called the coefficient. Okay, so that number is called the coefficient. For example, 5x. 5 is my coefficient because 5 tells me how many x's I have, or it also represents multiplication. It's the same thing. Okay, a variable. A variable is a letter for a number we do not know yet. Okay, so we talked about variable meaning that it can vary. So vary means that it can change. So variables are means that we can change or put in any number for a letter or a variable, and it can change or vary our answer. What about the constant? The constant is the number that does not change. So any number all by itself in an algebraic expression is a constant. For example, 3x plus 2. The 2 all by itself is a constant. Numerical expressions. Numerical expressions are math problems with numbers and math signs, but no equal sign. Examples, okay, 9 times 2, or 48 minus 5, or 8 divided by 2. Okay, those are all numerical expressions. In this chapter, we're learning about variable expressions or algebraic expressions, which are math problems with at least one variable but no equal sign. For example, 8x or 10 times y or 12 plus a. Okay, these are all algebraic or variable expressions that have at least one variable, one operation at least, and no equal sign. So identify the terms, coefficients, and constants in each expression. So in this first one, okay, the terms in my first problem are 5x and 13. They are separated by a plus sign or a minus sign. That's how we know what are my terms in an expression. Okay, what is my coefficient? Okay, this is my coefficient, the 5 that represents how many x's or how many of a variable I have. What is my constant? Well, my constant is 13. The number that is all by itself that stays the same. And my variable is always just my letter that is being used in my algebraic expression. Okay, number 2, the terms. Okay, what terms do I have? Well, I have 2. Oh, I think that this is a typo, so let's cross out this extra 2. So the terms are 2z, y, and 3. Okay, those are my terms. My coefficient. My coefficients are 2, and there's an invisible 1. Anytime you have a variable all by itself with no number in front of it or no coefficient, we always know that there is an imaginary coefficient of 1, which tells me that there is only one y. Okay, what about my constant? Okay, my constant is the number that is all by itself. And what variables do I have, or what letters are being used? A z and a y. Good. So let's pause and try 2 on your own. I would like you to pause and try these next 2 on your own. Okay, now that you have paused and you have found, okay, the terms, coefficients, constants, and variables for each of these 2, let's go ahead and move on. Okay, how to evaluate an expression. How to evaluate an expression. So it says, to evaluate an algebraic expression, we substitute a number for each variable, then use the order of operations to find the value of the numerical expression. So, for example, if we were going to evaluate k plus 10 when k equals 25. So we plug in a 25 for k. So now I have 25 plus 10, which equals 35. Okay, remember we should have 35 down here on the bottom with no equal sign. Okay, same thing over here. Evaluate. So this little star means multiply. So if we have 4 times n when n equals 12, I'm going to plug in or substitute, substitute my 12 for n. So now I have 4 times 12, which, if I evaluate that numerical expression, 4 times 12 is 48. So now, on the back, I would like you to pause and try these 2 on your own. You're going to evaluate 24 plus c if c equals 9, and d minus 17 if d equals 30. Okay, now that you have evaluated these expressions, how to write and evaluate expressions. So first thing we need to do is we need to carefully read the problem. Number 2, write the expression. Number 3, substitute each variable or letter in the expression with the given value. And 4, use the order of operations to evaluate. So, write and evaluate an expression for the problem together. Okay? Let's talk about these. So, you receive $8 for raking leaves for 2 hours. What is your hourly wage? So, if I receive $8 for raking leaves for 2 hours. So what I don't know is how much I made per hour. I know how much I made total, and I know how many hours I worked, but I do not know how many or how much money I made per hour. So here's your hint. What times 2 equals 8? Well, we know that 2 times 4 equals 8, so the answer is $4 per hour. Okay, next one. Music lessons cost $20 per week. How much do 6 weeks of lessons cost? So if we know that music lessons cost $20 per week, so we know that $20 is the amount. W stands for the weeks. So if the weeks equals 6, then we're going to plug that in for W. Plug that in for W. So that means that 20 times 6 equals $120. So for 6 weeks of lessons would cost $120. Okay, these last two I would like you to pause and try with a partner, and I want you to see if you can come up with, if you can write an expression and evaluate each problem for whatever is missing.